Good morning, this is Kamera again. We're on day number 153. Yesterday, I believe I said 151 was yesterday. 152 was yesterday. 153 is today. And we're on Job chapter 5 through 7. And the thing is with Job, I love the book of Job, but the best part of Job is usually the beginning and the end. And a lot of people can't really digest the center of Job, but Job has a lot to say. There's a lot to be said in Job. And what we find that we don't like about Job, the center part of Job. Now, Job is the best, beginning and end. It's that center part that we have a problem with really reading because we already have an issue with his friends. And it seems that his friends are judging him. You must have done something wrong. You'll see that a lot. And that makes you really overlook the things that his friends are saying. For instance, Job is, as we already know, he lost everything, including his family. He's now sick, in a lot of pain. And so his friends, three of his friends, come along to grieve with him, to mourn with him. And so after 7 days, of course, we already know that Job was the one who broke the silence because they were silent for 7 days and nights. And so Job is basically upset. He's complaining about his situation. He wished he wouldn't have been born. And so his friend, the first one to speak was Eliphaz. And Eliphaz was like, you guys already read what happened. But then he goes on to say some things that seem to, he said some good stuff. He really does say some good stuff. And some of the things he said was, resentment destroys you. That's one of the things he was telling Job. Jealousy, jealousy of kills. And he points out some things like fools may be successful, but when disaster comes, then they just start doing some stuff that is just not cool, right? And so he tells Job, if I was you, I would take it up with the Lord. I would, present my case. And he goes on to say how majestic God is and how marvelous God is and how he supplies the rain. And, he's saying some good stuff about God to Job. And then he goes on to say a few other things like, for instance, God disciplines people and, you shouldn't despise his discipline, and a few other things. And Job, he tells Job, he says, listen to my counsel and apply it to yourself. And so Job is basically, he replies after that and he tells them, don't I have a right to complain? I'm in so much pain. I'm suffering here. It's never ending, basically. Don't I have a right to complain? And he says, he even points out the fact that he has these sores. And these sores, they have maggots on him. And he has, pus coming out of his wounds and stuff like that. Don't I have a right to complain? And so he says, doesn't the donkey, when there's no grass, don't they bray when there's no grass? Or the cows, don't they cry when there's no food? Or even people, when their food is unsalted, don't they complain? But I don't have a right to complain. He goes on to talk about his discomfort. And so he says, you would think that going to sleep would ease my, give me some type of comfort, right? He says, even there. And he's talking to God. He's like, even there, you terrorize me, even in my sleep. But you guys, Satan has no mercy. He gives no mercy. God told him to go ahead and that part. Job is like, but why even have me around if you want to just just kill me? I'm just tired of living at this point. I mean, we can really, really, really understand this. We can really understand. There is no comfort. 24 hours, 7 days a week. He is filled with pain. And even in his sleep, he's been terrorized in his sleep. He said he sees these terrifying visions. So, Satan ain't stopping now. Satan is really trying to get him. And then he has these friends who's supposed to be there to comfort him. He even says, you guys, there's no reason why you should be useless, basically. You come here and You're basically useless. You're no help. I didn't ask you for anything. Well, basically give you the right to accuse me. I know I have done nothing. And what is this? You want me to feel guilty for what? God knows, right? But for you guys to come here and accuse me. So yeah, he even being terrorized by his friends. Satan has no mercy. And so honestly, guys, because if you've ever read the book of Job, you appreciate the first couple of chapters and you appreciate the results of everything. But that center, the verse, the chapter, and the thing is, it's like over 40 something verses, right? So I mean, 40 something chapters. So you're like, okay, the best part of the beginning and the end. You see what happens. You see what the result is. You see, the conclusion, and we like that. But to be honest with you, Eliphaz said some good stuff. He said some good stuff. They just did not pertain to Job. So take the time to read it. It's some good stuff, I'm telling you. It just does not pertain to Job. Okay? So guys, that's a day number 153. Job chapter 5 through 7. You have a God-filled blessed day.